So I was, so I just was reminded of. Were you with me that time we did the Zoom on the snow day, and we got hacked badly?
We got hacks?
Do you not remember that? The guy, someone posted, someone because I've opened it up for everyone, and someone's posted
Yeah.
like some hardcore pornography.
Yes. No, I came in right after that because like
Okay,
vibe was a little
okay.
strange, and I was like, "Am I cool
Oh,
here?" I
that
thought it was
was
immediate.
no, man, it was so embarrassing because I didn't know like
Yeah.
people, and then so obviously I had to make it private after that. But yeah, that was a harsh reminder of the days of Zoom learning
Yeah.
back in the COVID days. But
No
oh
kidding. No
man,
kidding.
well, glad to have you here, man. Got some, we'll talk about a couple things, offensive line and coaching wise. But first question I got for you. Talk to me about how the offensive line played an important role in some of the better teams that you've been a part of.
Well, I mean, I think in both. Well, I've been lucky enough to play in some pretty successful systems as well as coach in some. Um, I think the biggest thing, just as a player, the most successful lines I've been with and played with, it's just been the cohesion
Yeah,
between the group. I went to a small school, Humboldt State, Northern California, um, and this was pre-transfer portal time, all this stuff, and you look at all the guys coming in, we're all 4-year guys and all retained and stuck through it the entire time, but kind of building that cohesion through the entire offensive line. And we had some athletic freaks. I mean, one guy's still playing in the NFL, one's over training professional offensive lineman. Uh,
hmm,
I'm kind of doing my thing. The other one coached at UW and had an internship in the NFL for a while. So we were kind of this weird hotspot for offensive line play, and a lot of that's to the coaches and kind of instilling just what it took to go and kind of reach that potential and all the intricacies that you don't really see about. Um,
right.
because when it came down to like brass tacks and everything, we knew we could count on each other, and we had the skills just through the weight room and through practice and skill development, all that stuff, and we really took it seriously and went all in on it. So
Yeah.
and on the coaching side, it's very similar. It's we're coaching depending on where you're at, high school or college or pros, like kind of instilling that professionalism or just the ability to like take it seriously,
Yeah.
which is kind of silly to say because if you're doing something, you want to do it to the best of your ability. Um, but just knowing that it's going to take that kind of extra push of dedication to, if I'm not good at this, what do I need to get better at to succeed? Uh,
Yeah.
which was kind of was my deal as a player. And then I just try to, tell the guys my stories and hopefully they learn something from it. If they don't, I'll try to I'll try to find a new story. Um, but yeah.
Right. No, I mean it's that I mean you hit the nail on the head though. Like especially the offensive line room is a unique room. Like it's full of characters, some good, some bad, and so you've got to try to find that. You got to walk that line a little bit of keeping them. I don't want to use the term under your thumb, but keeping them in line, but
Mhm.
also letting them be their characters that they are too. Because
Yeah.
you don't want to try to change you don't want to try to change a kid if his game, like a Taylor Lewan, for example, who is very much a character. If
Mhm.
somebody tried to change him in college or pro, it would have blown up in their face. You don't want to try to change that person. You want to let them be their own person, but also you want to make sure that they are
Yeah.
following the standards that you set as their coach too.
Yeah. It's more guidelines than rules, I think is the
Exactly. Yeah,
term
that's
for it,
good. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, because like when I was a player, like it was funny. Like I struggled a lot when I got done playing, just like mentally and everything. Because like
Hmm.
I went from essentially what tricked me into doing it is like I have to take on this like WWE persona that I'm this like 300-pound guy and I'm gonna wear cut off Leonard Skinner shirts and
Right.
like, drink a copious amount of energy drinks and I'm just gonna go and brawl in the trenches and then just one day it stops
Right.
and then you're like okay, now I'm teaching people with developmental disabilities and I need to be well articulated and everything, and it's like 3 months earlier like I put on this show that I couldn't know how to read, and it was something that you create this kind of fake character for yourself, and it was part of it was like tricking me into like doing the things that were so difficult, mat drills or waking up at 6 a.m. You're putting 535 pounds on your back, and it's like
Right.
who does this? Not like normal people. Um,
No.
so that's kind of what I did. And so, you change when you come out, but everyone's gonna have their different deal. Everyone's gonna have a different why, and you kind of, I think, as a coach, you just got to embrace that and use that to both you and your players' advantage, and how to get the best out of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, it is tough, and there are I'm sure there still are some things that you know are similar to how you were as a player. Just I mean, but also you're not gonna. That's the same thing we talked about. You're not gonna change a player.
Mm,
You're not gonna change yourself too, right? Like you,
yeah.
I'm sure you have things that you still do on game day that you've done for 15 years that you don't realize are
So that Limp Biscuits playlist is queued up every day, man. Like,
you gotta have that. Hey, it's I don't even man, shoot. I'm trying to think of what I even listen to anymore on game days. There was a good chunk of change where it was like two or three songs on
yeah.
repeat, and that was it. But it's if I even get to listen to music now, it's I'll be happy. But um, so you talked about obviously played at Humboldt State, were a really good player there, and then started coaching at Humboldt State not long after graduation. How did I'm always fascinated by guys who coached at their alma mater. Um,
Yeah.
how it came about and what struggles you had in that, kind of like we talked about being able to make that flip from player to coach.
Yeah. Ironically, it's I don't know how much of a say I really had into becoming a coach in the beginning, because how it started is our head coach now at Whittier. He was my offensive line coach at Humboldt State, and he was an alum too. But we had just gotten done. I think the recruiting season was February. I was done playing. I
Hmm.
was planning on going to grad school. I get a call around 8:30 a.m. on like a Friday, and I had like no classes, and it's him. And he calls me up and he's like, "Hey, Gov, like, I need you at the dining hall. We have recruits coming." I'm like, "Coach, I don't play for you anymore." And he's like, "Just show up. It'll be great." And I was like, "All right, I get a free meal out of it, no
Yeah.
deal." And so I show up and I'm kind of, helping out with recruits and this and that, not really knowing what I'm doing, just kind of, being a tour guide for the school. And he was the interim head coach at the time, does a staff introduction. He kind of gets to me and he's like, "Yeah, that's Lucas Govan. He's going to coach here. He just doesn't know it yet." And I was like, "Okay, I guess I'm in this thing." And, was kind of floating around for the spring and got to the summer portion of it. And the tight ends coach at the time was like, "Hey, like, you know a lot about blocking." And I was like, "Well, thank you." I think I do. Probably not, but, I looked the part. And he's like, "Can you want to come out and help me?" Because he was more of a pass game guy at the time.
Hmm.
And I was like, "Yeah, I'm happy to." And so from there, I kind of went into it, and we took this kind of volunteer GA role at D2. Like, everyone's GAs if you're essentially not paid. That was kind
Right.
of what it was. And did that for a year, while kind of balancing uh, this is grad school and coaching. And which is funny at the time because everyone in coaching was telling me I shouldn't do grad school, and everyone in the grad school said I shouldn't coach. So it was a
Yeah.
real tough deal. Um, and then I just decided to go all in on it. Eventually, a new head coach took over after that year, and he asked me to be the offensive line coach. Um, and I was fired up. I was really excited because I was feeling that part of me that was kind of missing, and I really wanted to
Hmm.
dive back into it. And that's how kind of I got into it. And then as we got going, obviously, like, I'm coaching my buddies, like I'm roommates with, the right guard.
Sure.
Like, still one of the toughest decisions I ever had was like, I'm 22 years old and I got to go home to my right guard roommate, one of my best friends, and I'm like, "Hey man, we're sitting you," and and it's like,
That's tough.
yeah. So, luckily he was mature and he's like, "Man, I get it." He had like lost a bunch of weight. He didn't even think he was going to be playing.
Sure.
Um, but you kind of got to balance that thing. And in hindsight, I probably didn't do as good a job as I probably should have that first year, just because I was learning so much. I'd never been in that role. I was 22 and I was an O line coach. Like, I was just kind of pulling on from what I knew as a player and piecing things together. So, but I had the coordinator at the time was really good. He'd been O line coach, um, and kind of like helped me through that kind of process too. Um, but yeah, it was a lot of like pride that I had because you're obviously
Hmm.
coaching for the alma mater, but the real kick in the shins is 2 weeks after I signed my contract. It was one of those classic things where I was working like 7 months before for free, and they're like, "Hey, we're finally paying you in July," and I was like, "This is great."
Yeah.
So I signed the contract 2 weeks later. They came in and they said we're shutting down the program at the end of the year. I'm like,
Right.
"Man, I'm getting fired 2 weeks on the job. I must really suck at my gig." So
Yeah. Is this my fault? Did I do? Did
Yeah,
I?
like
Is this
this
good?
has got to be a me problem. Like classic O line guy, like I
Yeah.
probably had some hand in this of not doing something right. Uh, so that was really hard just because, like, being at that school, I'd known what it provided to people on the pathways, and
Hmm.
it was the only public Division II school in California. So it was affordable. You can get kids in with a lower GPA. I was a 2.7 guy myself. Um, so it was either that or kind of junior college, and not everyone's a junior college guy. Some guys want to go right to 4 year, which was what I wanted to do.
Hmm.
And so it was like a very unique pathway, and now it's not available, which is not great, to keep the
Yeah.
people. Um, but yeah, that was kind of going from there. And then COVID hit right after that. So there was a kind of big gap. So I had a lot of time to reflect on that first year coaching at my alma mater, all the mistakes I'd made, what I would have done better. Like, and I still, like, to this day, I'm like, I think we could have, done this better. Or if I just knew what I knew now, then, classic hindsight's
Hmm.
20.
Yeah. Do you ever? I mean, I'm assuming you're still friends with the your right guard.
Oh yeah.
Do you ever have you ever talked to him and been like, hey man, what did I do that you guys liked or disliked? Have you ever gotten that feedback from him?
I've talked to a few guys about him. I'm not sure him specifically.
Hmm.
And we're still very close. Like I was talking to him the other day. But I'm not sure. I think a lot of it gets swept under the rug because there were so many things and I think they just want to be nice to me, which is
Sure.
thanks, guys. You can tell me
Right.
if I wasn't good. We're still gonna be tight. But there were so many distractions that year because we had just, going into fall camp, we didn't really have a coordinator picked yet, and then there
Hmm.
was all this looming like, hey, we're shutting down anyways. So when the news came out, we had to call the entire recruiting class, all the players, kind of tell them what was going on. Like, you can stay, you can leave. A lot of them left. Essentially, recruit an entire new recruiting class in the month of July,
Hmm.
and operate as a junior college program, just as eligibility wise goes. So they, could transfer out. And so there was so much just what I don't know, wanting to use woe is me, but like there was so many distractions happening around
Right.
where I don't think it was ever pinpointed on me. We're like, Gov sucks,
Okay.
we should be doing stuff this way or this and that. So, um, but I don't know. I feel like I have the introspective thing to know it's like, yeah, I did not do this well or handle this well.
Right. Well, we're always, I think you hit the nail on the head too. We as offensive line coaches always feel like we can, even if Sharon Moore at 15 and 0, Michigan probably thought there were things he could have done better as an offensive line coach. We always, unfortunately, sometimes we focus on the things we can do better as instead of the things that we did really, really well. That's just kind of our
Yeah,
mindset a little bit as O-line coaches. But um, do you think, I know there's been talk about it, are they gonna try to bring that program back? There's ever since they cut that program, there's been nothing but we need to bring this program back. And
yeah.
for the reasons you said right there, right? Like, do you think it's ever gonna happen, or is it folly?
Who knows? I was just up there a few weeks ago. My buddy who plays for the Raiders now, Alex Kappa. They were inducting him to the Hall of Fame. So
Hmm.
a whole crew of us went up there, and they were inducting our quarterback and a receiver as well. Um, and the president was there, and the administration and the AD was there, and I think they want to. Now the problem is, and I was talking to some of the student athletes that were there too, and they were kind of voicing their other issues, but I didn't know this. But it's with the transfer portal, everyone's worried about retention of student athletes retention.
Hmm.
They've had like a different AD, like they've had like 4 and 5 years or 4 and 6 years, and like this is an interim president because the other president just stepped down and they don't know if he's going to be. So their administration turnover has been very, very high, which is
Okay.
very difficult to get that going. I hope they do. I've kind of, Whittier, we were going through the same thing.
Right.
We're bringing it back. So everyone's kind of wondering what we're doing here, and we're having success. It's been great. Like it's everything's going the way we expected it to, and even beyond that. So I kind of told them the framework of what the school's doing here with us, and how they can apply it. Now, I think what hurts them is that they're a little bit more isolated. Uh,
Okay.
because what saves Whittier too is just the travel. I mean, in the SCIAC, every team's about 45 minutes away from each other, so you're cutting down on travel and lodging on away trips, and that's kind of what kills small school football budgets.
Yeah.
Um, so But I mean, I think there's different pathways. I just think there needs to be some leadership in charge that needs to establish a plan and withhold to it because the community support's there. I mean, holy
Yeah.
cow, it was a rally. Just I I was joking with Kat because the most expensive items at this auction were essentially his laundry that he scribbled on. And that's like I could just go to your house and take this out of there, and people are
Right.
buying stuff. And so it's yeah, I hope it comes back. I really do. I mean, my fantasy is just all the state schools in California that already play in this Division II conference establish football, and you have a northern section, a southern section, and you could make it kind of like I don't know the logistics of making it like a non-scholarship if that's realistic, kind of like the Pioneer Football League.
Sure.
And essentially it's kind of just Division III model, but you're recruiting, you play at Division II level.
Right.
So school doesn't have to change, and who knows, but it would be great. I hope there's always those whispers. I've gotten my hopes up too many times over the last, 8 years to
Sure.
warrant anything, so fingers crossed.
Right. No, I mean it's like I said, it's obviously, with Duke being an alum, he's always talking about it. You
Yeah.
talked about there's still a guy in the NFL and a ton of players around still. So it's never, you kind of lead me to my next question, which you alluded to a little bit with Whittier shutting down a couple years ago.
Hmm.
You never want to see programs cancel football, right? Like it's bad enough that there's colleges shutting doors. You never want to see programs uh cancel football seasons. You're a part of one now that you just talked about a little bit with Whittier. You
Hmm.
coached there before and now coming back as the offensive coordinator, which it's an awesome opportunity for you to you've obviously been in your own room, but now you get to be the coordinator in charge of the offense. Talk to
Hmm.
me about a little bit of you said it's been great, but talk to me about some of the struggles you guys have had with bringing back the program after a 2 year hiatus or 3 year hiatus.
Let's see. I think it shut down end of 22, so
Okay.
it'll
And
be 26 is our first season.
okay, so
Uh,
you guys playing games this upcoming fall?
no,
Nothing at all. Okay. So
no.
so essentially 4 years of shutting doors. Talk to me about some of the challenges you might have had, if any, really going into it.
Yeah, I mean, not to sound like everything's peachy keen, but it's been really it's been great coming back and everything. And I think the biggest struggle is not slipping back into the norm that was before.
Okay.
And so the head guy that's there now, I think I kind of said it. He was my O-line coach at Humboldt. He was the offensive coordinator at University of San Diego when I went down there. Um, He's, been at New Mexico State. He was at Northern Illinois the last 2 years. And it's a guy who I trust fully. I mean, he's helped me in my career as a player, all this and that. And he's great to work for, which is,
Hmm.
I think in this business, the thing I kind of really admire most is just working for really good people and someone you can
Yeah.
trust around. Um, but with both him and I, when he was taking the job, because he had GA'd at Whittier, I think back in 2006, 2007, and there was some success, but everyone kind of seen during the decline of those last 8 9 years what had happened, and it was getting the support from the new administration that had taken over, I believe a year or two ago, the ones who
Hmm.
initially decided to bring it back. Hey, to be successful and to run a good program, be competitive, these are the things we need to do, and they got on board 100%. It's and very very quickly. I mean, just during dealing with legislation of higher education, things can take a long time. I mean, holy cow, I
Right.
don't know how many months I've waited for an IT guy to come fix my printer at other institutions. You put it in October and they show up in April and they're like, here, fix
Right.
the printer. It's like, yeah, we got the GA hit it with a hammer and it works now. Like, sorry,
Yeah.
pal. Um, but they've been really supportive of us. I mean, they kind of set their standards of what they wanted us to kind of be at numbers wise, roster wise for the fall. And we've already exceeded it. We've doubled it. So they think we're the coolest thing since sliced bread. And
Yeah.
we're finding a lot of still talented recruits because we're still picking around 2025s. We're kind of shifting into the 2026s now, but there was still a lot of guys that were available more so than I was back here in 2021, and I think that is because of I'm not totally sure. Like maybe them thinking with the 105 at like I
Right.
hope WO at Cal Poly or San Diego or something like that. But there's really good quality athletes out there still. And I mean, you draw a circle around the 30-mile radius of Whittier College. I mean, you're hitting LA, you're hitting Orange County, you're hitting a lot of really good areas with really good schools, and the schools provided, um, a really competitive financial aid packages. And I know that's kind of like I laugh at it when I tell people because every Division III offers competitive financial
I
aid
know.
packages.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing these things, and I'm like, holy cow, this is less than a state school for some kids, depending on
Yeah.
like what's going on. And these guys are paying pennies. They just got to go work a shift at the gym on campus, and they'll be set. Um,
Right.
so it provides that opportunity for kids that it truly is affordable for the right kid and the right student. And then even if you're going and pulling a kid somewhere else that's not within that 30-mile radius, like it's still cheaper than it was before when I was here last time. And I was calling some of the former players and asked, kind of just gauging like what they were paying. And I was like, yeah, but you'd probably be paying this now. And they're like, do I get a rebate? Like, can I get
Yeah.
a refund
Right.
check? And I'm like, that's above my pay grade, brother. I don't know.
Yeah. Do I have eligibility left? Can I come play some more?
Yeah.
Man. No, that's awesome. It's like I said, it's good to see it come back around. It's awesome to
Mhm.
see that you guys are having some of the success that you wanted, and I'm sure you and the coaching staff and the players are freaking bouncing off the walls waiting for a game, and it's going to be just the
Yeah.
I can already imagine the excitement that's going to be around next year at this time when you guys are heading into summer with games on the horizon, right? Like
Yeah.
it's got to be palpable.
Yeah, the great thing is that the kids we're bringing in now, like they totally because it's not like we're tricking them saying like, "Hey, come play." By the way, we're not having
Right.
season. So like we're leading off with that, and we're describing like the opportunity just to like, "Hey, this is going to be your program. You're going to be the foundation for this and set the standard." And the players that are getting involved with are like totally diving into it to like just showing a maturity level that I would never have at 17 years old.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and it's really great to see, and it feels like it's going to be we're gonna set the foundation, and they're gonna be the root of this thing going forward. So I'm really excited about this class coming in. We're making announcements and a lot of fun stuff right now. So
Yeah.
yeah, really exciting.
That's cool. No, that's cool. And I'm sure it's cool for you just to kind of be able to put your own little stamp on things too because we as coaches, we always look at things like when you were there in 2021, I'm sure there were things that you said, I could do this better. We talked about that a little bit as a coach.
Yeah,
As a coach, I can do this better. And you probably looked at things and said, as a program, there are things that, hey, now I can tweak it. I don't think we ever do that as coaches as a negative. We don't do that as the people we're working for are bad or ill-informed. It's just that's how our minds think. That's how our minds work. We always try to fix things, and I'm sure there's stuff that you look at and say, "Oh, now I can do it my way," I
so,
guess.
yeah. Literally, my in the job interview, I was talking to the AD, and I was like, "Yeah, in life, you don't really get a whole lot of second chances, and like this feels like one."
Yeah.
And so, just
Yeah.
like the opportunity to come back and do better, and know that I can do a better job, it would be huge. So,
Yeah.
luckily,
No,
that
that's very cool. Very cool, man. Very cool. All right. Well, last question I got for you, and everyone gets this one. If you could build a Mount Rushmore of offensive linemen from guys you played with, guys you've coached, or guys that you were a fan of, who would be on your five-man offensive line?
oh boy, there's gonna be a lot of homer picks in this.
That's fine. That's great.
Okay, okay. Shoot, I guess I'll just start at right guard.
Okay.
That's gonna be Alex Kappa. Um, and I think I'm uninvited from any barbecues, future family events if I don't pick him. But no,
I was gonna, I was gonna say you better put him on there.
he's on there, and I will go to bat. Any question, any to this day, we're like, who's your best lineman of all time? And I'm gonna say it's Alex Kappa, and I'll defend him to the grave. Um, but just it's so he came to us at Humboldt, and we always joke with him. He was 6'6", 230 pounds, and he had
Hmm.
O-line tight end in his bio when he first got there, and he had long hair, kind of talked funny. He was like a big version of Spicoli from Fast Times. Very
Okay.
funny. He's
Is
probably
he is he a California kid? Is he from
yeah,
Cali? Okay.
yeah. He's from Dublin. Um, and so yeah, he's got the long hair, kind of talk like Spicoli. Uh, but the guy's brilliant, man. Like photographic memory, all
Hmm.
this stuff, and you know. But I just remember playing his redshirt year. and I was playing center, and we were still, so I was a sophomore, and we're still trying to get our sea legs under us. We don't know kind of if we're good or if we're bad. We're just trying to play.
Hmm.
And he had a play, and I've told the story before, I think, to someone else, but it was just like wide zone to left. He goes, kicks out the nine, like tries to reach, throws him out, flies in the air, hurdles him, goes blasts a linebacker, and is running stride for stride with our running back, who was like the Harlan Hill runner up that year, and
Uh-huh.
kills a safety. And I just remember watching it in film, and I was like, man, this guy is playing a different game than me. Like
Did you know at that moment, were you like
that
that
was the
kid, that
moment.
guy's an NFL player?
Oh, I know. I don't think I knew I knew that guy was really, really good.
Okay,
He'd be
yeah,
like an All-American. At Humboldt, like we were in a bubble. Like we would look at like it's funny. We would not. I'm not discrediting like Sac State. They just popped in my head, but like we look at Sac State and we're like, that's the show. Like those are NFL guys. Like we're
right,
just the help down. Like we're not very good. We're just happy to be out here.
right.
And but you saw him get bigger, and he was still lean at the time. He was probably like 260. And he just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's all credit to our strength coach there at Humboldt, Drew Peterson, who's just, I mean, I got there, it was probably like 6'2", 260, and luckily grew 2 inches my freshman year.
Hmm.
Uh, and then gained 40 pounds. A lot of that was due to Ben and Jerry's hot Cheetos and chocolate milk like every
Hell
night
yeah,
religiously.
the
Uh,
O-line diet right there, baby.
but I mean, the numbers this guy has put out at this small Northern California school is just unbelievable. And I mean, Duke will be the first to tell you. Like, you
Hmm.
talk to any disciple of Drew Peterson who's been through that program, and like, he is the godfather. He is the reason why that program was so successful all those years. Um, so, but yeah, just seeing Cap, and then we kind of realized he was an NFL guy when scouts started showing up. And there was one day, I'm not sure if I was junior or senior yet, but there's a lot of like homeless people up in Humboldt County, and they kind of
Hmm.
show up different places. And we're in a meeting once, and this guy walks through the door, and I'm like, great, it's another homeless guy. And he's like, oh, don't worry, I'll get him, guys. Like, I go up, I'm like, hey, man, like, what are you doing here? And he turns the corner and it was like a Washington logo. It's like, I'm going to see a cow. I'm like, oh, not homeless. Okay.
Right.
Wow, you're real. They have scouts. Okay. I've never seen one before. Yeah, I'll go grab them. So, but just like what he's done, and then also just transitioning and talking to him like when he first got into the NFL and how he developed as a player, and he's going on year 8 or 9 now, something
Hmm.
unbelievable. Where it's like, man, this guy, it's the same mentality he had as a player. He's just transitioned it over, which I've never played in the NFL, and I probably, definitely never will. But just I know like the transition can always be a really difficult part, and he's had his ups and downs, and he's still fighting like hell, man.
Hmm.
Uh,
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, center, another Humboldt pick, Taylor Boggs. That's probably going to be the other one, another Humboldt State guy.
Oh, I forget Taylor's a Humboldt State guy. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, so I had never played with him. He was already in the league when I got to Humboldt,
Hmm.
but I got there, and I mean, man, he was like Paul Bunyan. And I recently just talked to him. He was at that fundraiser too. And he was joking. He's like, you should call me Paul Bunyan. He's like a tough guy and everything. And I was like, dude, you were like, all I heard when I got there is like an 18-year-old kid is like, this guy could block an entire defense line with one hand. And he could bench 800 pounds and he could block anyone. And then I'm like, turn on ESPN and you're in a training camp fight with
Hmm.
like Goldston. And I'm in like, and I'm like, this guy's insane. Like, I got to be like this. Like, this guy plays center. I'm supposed to be this dude.
Right.
And you go back and watch his tape and like how athletic he was. Um, and everything, and just like yeah, he was a journeyman too, like just coming from another smaller school dude who just fought
Hmm.
like all, and the mentality of it all was unbelievable. And so, and then just you talk to kind of the peers around the community and how much they vouch for him and how much they respect his opinion
Right.
is is great. And you're tearing me apart here. I mean, I'd have to like the left guard's got to be Larry Allen.
Okay.
What are we doing here? Like
Yeah.
the guy's a monster. He was great. He was unbelievable. The athletic ability, and yeah, I guess well, unintentionally another small school guy. So
Yeah.
he played at Sonoma State. He's from played at Butte. I was born in Chico, so all I heard about is monster from Butte. He played at Sonoma State, and lucky enough, I grew up a Niners fan, and he came over to us near the end of his career and was still really dominant. And
Hmm.
to watch like just how violent he played and how strong he was, and all that stuff was terrific. Left tackle, it's hard not to go Joe Thomas.
It's
Uh,
okay. I need to go through I need to listen to all of the episodes of this podcast and make like a list of who everyone's mount because
That'd
I
be
bet the
sweet.
last two you I bet Joe and Larry Allen are on are more than 50% of the lists.
No, yeah. So like Joe's one of them. And then you got like Jonathan Ogden was great too. But Joe just played the position so differently. Like I'm still just blown away by his stance, man. Like I was literally driving, and this is how like screwed up I am. I'm like driving home like the other day, and I just started thinking about Joe Thomas's stance. I'm like,
Hmm.
he's in like he's in a shot put glide stance,
Uh-huh.
and just having the ability to keep balance and be that strong and like that technical and like play
And still
playing
be physical and still be
and
physical in the
still
run
be
game.
physical.
Yeah.
And it's just like, wow, this is impressive. So, and I always
Yeah.
like too, because like, you ask some of line kids, like, who do you like watching? Like, who do you like to pull stuff from? And they said Joe Thomas. I'm like, I don't know if that's the guy I would pull from. Not that he's not great.
Right.
Just don't think maybe you can nail that and like play like that. But I mean, I don't know, man. But yeah, yeah,
He set the bar high. And
it's
yeah,
true.
and you're right. There's a lot of guys that are like, "Oh, I watched this film." And it's like, "Okay, but you can't do any of the
I,
things he did
I
athletically."
can't
Like
do anything. Yeah.
nobody can. Joe
Yeah.
Thomas is the only one who could do that stuff.
Like I grew up like I don't know. Once again, they tricked me when I first started playing football. I showed up the first day of practice and they asked if I wanted to touch the ball or replay, and I was like, yeah, absolutely. Quarterback's gonna be sick,
They
and
duped
they're
you,
like, we're
man.
playing center. And so from there on, like I'm watching, like I'm trying to do my best to like find Olin Fritz stuff on like YouTube and Kevin Mawai and like just watching those guys play. I was really a big fan of John Hanna too. Um, and yeah, my mom, my single mom was like, "Why is my fat son just googling these old football players?
Yeah, right.
What is he doing?" But it was just something that yeah got me excited. And then right tackle Lane's great. But I kind of want to go with an
Hmm.
old guy. The one that really sticks out to me that he probably was one of my favorite O linemen is Bruce Matthews.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm sure he kicked. I mean, the guy was I think an All Pro at every position at one point.
Yeah.
Uh, and just the versatility and like yeah, just going back to when I played all positions. Now I was the worst tackle of all time.
Yeah.
When I grew the 2 inches, they're like, you should play tackle, and I was like, I think I gave like 47 sacks my first year.
Yeah. Maybe I should go back inside.
Yeah, and they're like, and I was like, thank you, please, yes, that's awesome. Uh, but yeah, I played guard and center, and just like having the ability to be successful at each position and having each of its different nuances is
Yeah.
pretty unbelievable. Um,
He's a guy too that like you hear a lot about, but like you
mhm.
don't hear a lot from him. Like
Yeah,
he's not very talkative. Like he doesn't, you have to like really do some digging to find out kind of about who he was as a player.
yeah, you're
Um,
almost finding out like secondhand through like Clay and
yeah,
guys like that. You're like they're like, oh, my dad did this, and it's like, okay,
yeah.
so
But he's definitely like you. I don't want to say you forget about him, but he's a little underrated. I think a little at times
yeah, no,
for being such an elite player at all over the place.
yeah, no, totally, and yeah, I mean, there's been like Munoz just left tackle. I saw him on a plane the other or last season.
Did you really?
Yeah, we're playing the University of Dayton, and we're flying out. It's early morning, and there was whispers that Anthony Munoz is going to be on our flight, and I thought we were joking around that week. We said Gruden was going to be at the game because he's a
Right.
alum. We're like he's going to do the coin flip, and so I thought everyone was kind of screwing with each other. And see this big dude with a Hall of Fame hat walk by. I'm like, well, that's got to be him. And you see his fingers, and they're all just mangled.
Yeah, mangled.
Definitely him. And we get on the plane, and I'm kind of walking, and like I don't know when I see these guys for the most part, I end up turning into the little kid at Disneyland who's afraid to go.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%.
And
Yeah.
I get like bashful, and I'm just like, yeah, I know
Yeah.
exactly. Um, but we're walking down the aisle, and everyone stops, and I'm like right next to him, and I kind of look at him and give him like a head nod. And he's like, "How's it going?" And our receivers coach turns around and he's like, "Go!" He's like scream whispering. It's like Anthony Munoz. Like, got it. Yeah, right there. Yeah,
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 right
you
there.
can. Love your work. Like,
Man.
but
He's I got two Anthony Munoz stories. One is he was a guest on the podcast before, so you guys
oh
share
no
that
kidding.
now.
Awesome.
But the second year, I think the second year I went to the Cool Clinic,
Mm,
I'm sitting in the middle and I'm listening to Paul Alexander and I think McNally up there talking McNally goes, "Can I get a volunteer from the audience for this next demonstration?" And in the back, you just hear a big voice go, "I can help, coach." And it's Anthony Munoz. And it's like obviously very staged and very planned, but he
Yeah.
walks up there and McNally's like, "What's your name, sir?" And he's like, "Tony." And it was just it was like the coolest thing ever. It was like holy cow. But
Yeah.
yeah, he's that's so anyways. Well, coach, I don't want to take up any more of your time, man. Do me a favor, drop your Twitter handle for everybody, and any other information you need the listeners to know.
Yeah. So Twitter handle is Coach Lucas Govan. I got shadow banned on my old one, so I had to make a new one about 6 months ago. Everyone thought it was spam. I don't know what happened.
It's the
Yeah,
algorithm.
yeah, building up the following again. So it's Coach Lucas Govan. Uh, Things to look out for, man. Oh, I'm heading off to Europe this summer. I'm doing
Oh, I
a
saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, they reached out to me, the Northman camp. I've heard great things about it. I've had some colleagues that have gone do it, done it before. So I'm heading out to Sweden and then Denmark at the end of June for about 10 days. So I'm going to be clinicking out there, thinking about doing some wide zone, some short yardage goal line stuff like that. And just luckily we get to dive into it, do it for recruiting as well, like
Yeah.
because Whittier can pull a bunch of international students. So it's kind of one, growing the game, two, can use it as recruiting purposes and just connecting through that and seeing the world's not too bad either.
Yeah,
So
right. Very
yeah,
cool.
nice little caveat.
Yeah.
Uh, Other than that, yeah, just recruiting. If you see me out and want to talk football, I'm more than happy to. I keep it pretty casual. I don't take things too seriously because it's bigger things in life. But I'm all
Yeah.
for talking run game and pass pro and all that fun stuff.
Awesome. Well, coach, man, I appreciate you coming on. This was great. I'll definitely be reaching out because I always love talking ball with you.
Mhm.
But thanks for coming on, man. Enjoy the rest of your day and we'll talk soon.
Awesome, man. Yeah, happy Mother's Day.
All right, man. Take care.
You too. See ya.